a study by Isaiah Tolbert, also known as the Funk Affair. An exclusive insight on one of the most complex pop-funk creations of the 1980s, the song Good Love.
This is a special about an exciting Prince recording that gets quite overlooked by casual and hardcore fans alike. Personally, for the first time I heard this track released on the Crystal Ball 4 CD set 1998 as a 16-year-old kid, I was in a state of awe. I think I might have played the song at least 9 times in a row. I couldn't even move on to the next track, which was Strays of the World, because I was just I couldn't believe that this song it came out of him from all the songs I have even heard of up till then. And I must say, since then, not even a week or a few weeks or a month have gone by that I've not dedicated at least the 5 minutes and 12 seconds to play it at least once in my spectrum of sounds. I've pondered over and over on how to present my love for this song and other listeners' statements about the eloquent memories about this tune, information, just pretty much anyone's viewpoint on this track, because I've actually never really had a face-to-face conversation about the song with almost anyone. So the best way I know how is to present all of the information about this incredible track I can gather as much as possible. So feel free to comment, subscribe, and share your love about it here. To begin, we must present the environment Prince was in at the time. Stated in his own words about the recording from the online booklet located on www.crystalballcd.com, Prince had this to say about it.
This track was recorded during an intense period of musical changes for Prince. He had disbanded the Revolution and moved to Los Angeles, booking Sunset Sound Studios, sometimes for months at a time. Shockadelica, Feel You Up and parts of the Black Album were also recorded during this time period. Prince was happy during this time and very optimistic about his musical possibilities with a new lineup of musicians, which included Sheila E.
From what I gathered so far up to this point, not only were there changes in the spectrum of musicians already disbanding the Revolution and introducing audiences to more lavish jazz embellishments on record, much different than anything he's ever done at the height of his career. He was stretching himself and stretching the people around him, and at the same time somewhat closing off the band members that he had around him earlier in his career. In the same time, he was closing himself off musically from those who were closest to him. This push and pull relationship with his own self created a cornucopia of creative ideas within himself. And right after he got all the jazz out of him for making the Madhouse 8 record, he started to get back into the funk. But it wasn't just any funk. It was weird, experimental funk that nobody was doing at the time. If you haven't already heard the track, I highly suggest listening to it because it's quite an experience of sounds and effects and synths and voiceovers and dubs, and it's a big trip. To put it in perspective, the recording was started October 30th of 1986 and went throughout the course of Halloween as well.
What's cool this year in Halloween costumes?
Madonna, Chuck Norris, Minnie Mouse.
As you can see, everyone has their own opinion, but it seems that cartoon characters, superheroes, and rock stars are the most popular costumes for today's trick-or-treaters.
A few months before he started working on Good Love, Prince had released Another Lover Hole in Your Head, which didn't fare too well on the Billboard charts.
Despite a large amount of publicity provided by its predecessors in the film Under the Cherry Moon, the single stalled at number 63 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US, and didn't fare much better in the United Kingdom, where it reached number 36.
It's a new entry at number 14 Shorty, it's Prince and the Revolution, another lover holding your hand.
From Dwayne to Dolls, Prince and the Parade and Sign O' the Times Era Sessions 1985 and 1986 book. Good Love, Tracking and Overdubs, Mix. October 30th, 1986. Sunset Sound Studio 3 book 4 p.m. to 7 a.m. Engineered by Susan Rogers and Coke Johnson.
It's fair to say that Prince still in that year was coming off of Kiss, and Kiss was riding high on the Billboard charts. And we have to talk about Kiss because the B-side of the song was A Love or Money, and it was the second time he actually used a sped up vocal. The first time he used it for Erotic City, and it seems in 1986 when he started recording the Sign of the Times and Crystal Ball set, he started using it more and more. Susan Rogers, his engineer, explained that the name for this character was Camille. However, he wasn't sure quite where this character fit in.
By this time, Prince had already used aliases for alter egos such as Alexander Nevermind and Jamie Starr. According to Susan Rogers,
I think he didn't have a concrete idea of what it was going to be. He liked the name Camille. So, this character of Camille might have been the lead singer of a band called The Dream Factory, or Dream Factory might be the title of a Camille album. It was just unclear. He liked those concepts, but he had no actor in the role.
It was never confirmed or denied who Camille might have been from Prince himself, but with some research, there's a person named Herculine Barbin, born November 8th, 1838 to February 1868, who was a French intersex person who was assigned female at birth and raised in a convent, but was later reclassified as a male by the court of law after an affair and physical examination. There's also a film at this time in 1985 based on this individual, and it's possible that Prince might have seen it. It's not the first time an artist had used some sped up vocals in a song. There's Ordinary Pain by Stevie Wonder.
When I was home waiting for you, you were out somewhere doing
The Beach Boys, She's Going Bald. Pretty much anything by Alvin and the Chipmunks. ABBA, Does Your Mother Know?
That's no way to go. Does your mother know?
And multiple Funkadelic Parliament songs.
Way I back away to run, to hide. From what? From fear? The truth, the light? Is truth the light?
But today, Prince wasn't having it. It was close to Halloween weekend too. And Prince was like, I'm just gonna fuck that. Speed up all the vocals. I'm just about to go ham. And today's date was no exception. Prince was gonna go all in and go crazy in the studio. It's gonna be him all by himself. And his engineers, of course. Once again, the structure of this new catchy pop song was built on a blend of the Lynn LM1 drum machine before adding guitar and a few sound effects. Also, according to Dwayne, the Prophet VS and the Fairlight synthesizers were his go-to synths during this period, and he took advantage of the various patches, creating a web of sound that helped float his vocals above the music. This was an important time with those synths because he actually started creating a lot of different sound effects that were his own. In earlier readings of this track, in the book by Per Nilsson called Dance Music, Sex, Romance, I remember a portion of the book saying that Susan had observed Susanna and Jill Jones giving each other the side eye. And then later in a book by Dwayne Tudall, he goes in a little bit more on what was actually happening with the conflict between Susanna and Jill Jones.
According to Prince Vault, Susanna Melvoin sings background vocals on Good Love alongside Jill Jones. In Prince the Man and His Music, Susanna tells Matt Thorne that, in addition to being Prince's girlfriend, she was hired as a staff singer after the dissolution of the family. Susanna was often summoned to the studio yet rarely knew where her contributions would wind up. It was a really good time for Prince and I. The two of us would get in there and pull the microphones together and sing these backgrounds.
On October 31, 1986, Halloween, Prince asked if Susanna would oversee the layers of vocals he requested from her. "Can you do these vocals with David Z today?" I was like, "I'd love to. Let's go for it," remembers Susanna. It's noted David Z was also doing Jill Jones vocals for her forthcoming Paisley Park album Jill Jones yet to be released. There was a part David wanted me to sing hard and asking me to do something that was not my thing. I'm not going to go in and scream, I am going to call Jill, she's a good singer.
It's actually really cool that Prince wanted Susanna to conduct the whole background vocals, so giving her some production credit as well for even calling in Jill Jones was pretty cool. And giving her that freedom to pretty much do whatever she wanted with the background vocals even adds more of a touch. He told her to go crazy with it, just go wild. And that's exactly what they did. Part of the issue was that Jill Jones wasn't on great terms with Prince, as he had been going over doing a solo album with her and it wasn't coming to be. They had been working back and forth and doing songs here and there, and he was giving her songs and taking them away, and the whole relationship with Susanna, it was probably getting on Jill's nerves. But she still came in the studio anyway and did what she needed to do.
Prince seemed to enjoy pushing people to be uncomfortable and watching how they work out. Jill states, "I was so pissed because I wanted my album. I was not talking to him at the time. I was so pissed at Susanna, I hated being told what to do. I'd seen the family album coming through and you are dealing with me walking in the studio and being very resentful. Now I am singing and she is directing me, and I can't even get my bloody record."
Now, according to Susanna, she says she seemed that she didn't even want to be doing it and had the parts done. And I was just like, let's just sing it, let's go for it. This is the part where you just go in and shine. Give her what you got. And she was like, "What do you want me to do?" And I said, "I don't know, do whatever you want to do. Do that." And we sang and I thought it went really great and amazing. Prince fucking loved it.
Whatever the case is, Prince got the best out of Susanna and Jill for the song Good Love, even if it meant there was a little competition in the room. Prince seemed to think the best came from those around him when he pushed them to their limitations personally and professionally.
After the session wrapped up, Prince made a couple cassette tapes for listening later, and later made an instrumental version for himself as well. Prince's idea of having a whole album of sped up vocals came to be, and he was going to entitle it Camille. However, it seemed like he had a change of mind after a while and decided to scrap the album altogether. Now, I'm not here to exactly talk about that release. What I wanted to do is talk about the song Good Love specifically. He must have favored the song enough as well to place it as track 6 on the Camille set, but he did save it and released it in 1988 for a soundtrack called Bright Lights Big City.
In March 8, 1988, a year after wowing fans with the artistic triumph of Sign O' the Times, Prince gifted fans with a bonus track in the form of Good Love. The original version appeared on the soundtrack to the Michael J. Fox drama, Bright Lights, Big City, marking the first time an original Prince song debuted on a motion picture soundtrack for a movie Prince wasn't starring in. Thematically, the whimsical romance of Good Love couldn't be further from the gritty landscape of Bright Lights, Big City, a film based on the J. McInerney novel set in the cocaine-fueled yuppie fast lane of the 80s.
I love the song so much I had to see the movie myself, and I had to see where this song fit in the soundtrack, because honestly there wasn't anything in the soundtrack that was as whimsical as this track, and they placed it as the first song on the whole entire set. And it's noted that there was a #1 single on the soundtrack, which is Mars Pump Up the Volume, which is the last track. So they kind of somewhat coincide with each other. The song itself is seen with Michael J. Fox at a dance club, and a song is playing in the background.
Lyrics such as, cherry pie, apple kisses, everything is cool evoke the colors and flavors of Raspberry Beret. In the same verse, Prince sings, here is another world, here I'm protected from all harm, recalling a world of his own creation that was first referenced in the song Paisley Park and eventually brought to life with the Paisley Park recording and theatrical complex in Chanhassen, Minnesota.
The song lyrically is a psychedelic consumption of joy and love and romance that is just everlasting and in full bloom. There are European references like Technicolor Children, Piccadilly Square, which kind of invokes Beatles-like lyrics from Strawberry Fields Forever, for example.
The track makes several references to Gustav Mahler, a composer whom Alex Ross describes in The Rest Is Noise as a kaleidoscope of moods, childlike, heaven-storming, despotic, despairing, and you could say the same about Camille. Good Love shows the character's childlike side, while heaven-storming, despotic, despairing in turn sum up the unreleased album's opening 3 tracks, Rebirth of the Flesh, Housequake, and Strange Relationship. Camille may just be Prince with his vocals pitched up, but underneath rages a dazzling symphony of neuroses.
Here's a really short clip of Gustav Mahler's number 3, of which, at the end of the song, Prince actually sampled on a synthesizer. +20 years later, Prince would revisit the idea of Technicolor Children on Rainbow Children in the year 2000. In the year 1998, Prince would revisit Good Love as an edited version on disc 2 of the 4-CD set Crystal Ball. For unknown reasons, he edited the segment where he starts screaming Part 2, whereas it's possible that this was intended for a single release, but he left it in on the Bright Lights Big City soundtrack. And that was the first time I, as a kid, heard it, because I had no idea the song even existed on a soundtrack. So it was hearing the edited version first. Then I went back and found the soundtrack and was delighted that there was almost a minute more of music. Well, that's all for Prince Good Love, a study. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy some reviews I found online about the song from internet users and fans alike. Thank you for the views and the listens over the years, and I appreciate all of the subscribes. I've never actually paid for anyone to follow my channel, and I've had it up for quite a while, and I am really thankful, truly, for all the comments and likes and subscribes. So I just hope my channel does makes you smile. Maybe I'll do another one sometime.